Hello and welcome to another episode of Soap Goes to the Oscars. This is episode 93. I'm recording on June 19th, 2025, which is also the day that I watched the movie. And that movie was Love Affair, still in the 1939 Oscars. This is the third one I've watched. This one was available on HBO, so it was quote unquote free again. It's a Criterion correct collection movie, and there's a little bit of information in the Wikipedia I'll read about this version of it, but that is where I was able to find it. Speaking of Wikipedia, A Love Affair is a 1939 American romance film co-starring Charles Boyer and Irene Dunne, featuring Maria Ouspenskaya, directed by Leo McCarey and written by Delmer Daves and Donald Ogden Stewart, based on a story by McCarey and Mildred Cram. Controversial on concept, the official screenplay was retooled and rewritten to appease Hollywood's censorship and relied on actor input and improvisation, causing long delays and budget extensions. The movie became a surprise hit of 1939, showing McCarey's versatility after a long career of comedic films and launching the surprising team-up of Dunne and Boyer. Academy Award nominations include Best Actress for Dunne, Best Supporting Actress for Ouspenskaya, Best Original Song, Best Writing, Original, and Best Picture. Its popularity was later dwarfed by McCarey's 1957 remake, An Affair to Remember, which spawned its own remakes with 1994's Love Affair and a few Indian adaptations. Produced by Leo McCarey as well. Cinematography, Rudolph Mattei, edited by Edward Dmytryk, George Hively. Music by Roy Webb, produced and distributed by RKO Radio Pictures. Released on April 7th, 1939. Runtime of 87 minutes. One thing controversy says the initial screenplay was rejected by the Production Code Administration, accusing the story of endorsing adultery. Another related argument believed Terry had not been punished for her kept behavior, while Michelle had been given redemption, so this led to Terry's paralysis. He dissolved her in a hospital with her realizing that God hadn't wanted her to meet Michelle until she was sorry for what she had done before, explained Donald Ogden Stewart. Did not win any of the awards it was nominated for. So availability in 1967, the film entered the public domain in the United States because the claimants did not renew its copyright registration in the 28th year after publication. Because of this, the film is widely available on home video and online. The film can be downloaded legally for free on the Internet Archive. However, since the only film prints available were in lower resolution 16 millimeter, along with poor quality web video, in 2020, the Museum of Modern Art and Lobster Films in Paris worked on a new 4K version created from film elements that MoMA had in its archives. And they did have a notation at the beginning of the movie about that. This was the version that was available on the Criterion Collection released this newly restored version on Blu-ray and DVD in February 2022. So that's what was on HBO. So this one, let's see my notes for this one. The first note I wrote was WTF, and that was at the moment where Terry has her accident. And then I wrote, have me in the first half. I was getting kind of annoyed towards the end because, I'm not I think I mentioned this in one of the other, maybe Wuthering Heights. I don't need every movie to be the Spielberg ending and, happy every time, but it's okay sometimes. And while this one was, in the end, there was a lot more tragedy than you would normally expect from like a romantic sort of not quite comedy. But I will say the pairing of these two, Charles Boyer and Irene Dunne, was perfect. Perfect casting. Dude is super charismatic, and so is she. Like just very, quick-witted, both of them. Obviously, it's written, but although it says apparently they improvise some stuff. But just a very good pairing between these two and a lot of chemistry. And, this guy's French, Charles Boyer, and there was a dude in the earlier 30s that Maurice Chevalier that they tried to push on us. And apparently he was very popular. I did not like him at all. Also French guy, but this guy was great. And this is the story they talk about this in, I think maybe they sort of reference the remake An Affair to Remember in Sleepless in Seattle. I'm not sure, but that's they talk about this, and that's why in Sleepless in Seattle they meet they plan to meet in the Empire State Building, which is the plan in this. So the beginning of the movie, they're on a cruise together or a boat traveling to America and sort of spark this romance, even though he's engaged and she's engaged. And he's kind of like a French playboy. And when they land, they agree to meet in 6 months and see where their situation is. And on the day they're going to meet, she gets into an accident and is paralyzed, whether permanently or not. I don't think they really say. Like they sort of make it seem like she could recover, but at the end of the movie, she still is. So I really love this movie. I gave it 4 stars on Letterboxd. I could probably even go a little higher with it. It was really good. Just there, I think just the combination of them was just absolutely perfect, and I really enjoyed them together and just the whole situation. Again, it was like it sort of annoyed me a little bit that they were sort of the tragedy parts of it, but they do come around in the end, and it was very enjoyable. The other one thing I noticed right from the very beginning was that this dude reminded me of Sean Connery, and it's not always like when he's dead on. When you're looking at him dead on, it's more from like the side a lot. Sometimes, depending on how his hair was, he looked very much like Sean Connery. And I looked it up to see if anyone else had made that comparison. They say in a movie called Gaslight, he wears a wig and it makes him look even more like Sean Connery. And there may have been something where it's possible that Sean Connery also wore that wig at some point. I don't know if that's true or not, but he does. He looks a lot like Sean Connery in certain points and certain angles and stuff. And then for her, I thought she also reminded me of someone, and I finally realized I've been watching a show on Hulu called Reboot, and it stars Judy Greer, who's like I think the mean girl in 13 Going on 30. She's been in a bunch of stuff, but she looks a little bit like her. So it was a good. I always like it when I can remember who the person actually reminds me of. But yeah, this was excellent. I'm not going to go too deep into it. I'm not going to read plot or anything. The story is kind of well known, and there is a bunch of Wikipedia stuff that you can read if you'd like. But yeah, enjoyed this one all around. 4 stars at least, and I might even watch this one again. I think my wife would like this one, so may give it another go. That is all I've got. So just to say that, the first movie, Wuthering Heights, second movie, Stagecoach, third movie, Love Affair. So far, an excellent round. And I'm enjoying these. I'm finding I like a lot more of the movies as we go further in. And, I certainly liked a lot of the older movies too, but I'm finding a little more that I'm more consistently liking a lot of the movies in a round of Oscars as opposed to just 1 or 2. So we'll see how the rest goes. But that's all I've got. See you next time.